Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is December 16th. It is 5:30 p.m. and this is a regular meeting for the Planning Commission. The land that we know as Squim was once inhabited solely by First Peoples known as the Sklallam people, represented by the three tribal governments: Lower Elwha Sklallam, Jamestown Sklallam, and Port Gamble Sklallam. We serve as stewards of the land within the city of Squim with the same care and consideration the Sklallam tribes has and continues to provide. This acknowledgement is a respect to the Sklallam people and their history. The Planning Commission serves as an advisory body to the City Council. The purpose of the Planning Commission is to provide guidance and direction for Squim's future growth through continued review and improvement to Squim's comprehensive plan, zoning code, shoreline management, environmental protection, and related land use documents. The Planning Commission will have all of the powers and perform each and all of the duties specified by Chapter 35A.63 RCW as amended and set forth or amended by ordinance. Roll call. Emily, will you please take roll call, noting that Commissioner Mahalik is excused.
Yes. Commissioner Kuntz, present. Commissioner Cummings,
Here.
Commissioner Fain, I'm not sure where he is. Commissioner Habel, I saw him online.
He raised his hand.
Oh, perfect. He raised his hand. He's here. Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Hewitt.
Present.
Commissioner Lefevre.
Here.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, approval of minutes.
I do want to note Alex has shown up online.
Okay, thank you. So then all the commissioners are present except for Commissioner Mahalik, excused. Okay. All right. Approval of minutes. Has the commission had a chance to look at the minutes from the first December meeting, December 2nd? And if so, is there any corrections, comments? Yes.
I just have a question. Carla, are you still interim? Okay. Then
Okay. Okay, does the commission have anything on that? Okay, if there's no corrections, can we get a motion? Okay. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, minutes stand approved. So we're going to move on to public comment at this time. General public comment will be heard. Each person is limited to 3 minutes. I see no one in the room. Is there anybody online that would like to provide public comment?
No.
Okay, thank you. I just will mention briefly that we did have a email sent to Carla and myself, and I have forwarded that to the commission for your information. Okay, general business, comprehensive plan status update. Carla?
Okay, well, at our last meeting of 2025, it's my pleasure to give you a status update of all that we've accomplished this year, and then to queue us up for 2026. And so in preparation for 2026, I do have a draft schedule that I gave hard copies to, and Emily's pulled it up there on the screen for our commissioners that are joining us online. But just a update on 2025. This is our last chapter of the policy document, economic development. So if you think about where you were a year ago and where we're at today, I'm like, good work, planning commissioners. So thank you for your diligence and your working systematically through each of the chapters. So we're in a great location, a great place to be, but there's still more work to do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But I did want to note just on the status update memo that you got as part of your packet, just kind of where we're at. There is some updates to that table that we normally refer to on the second page that I'll go over. And then just to note that I did participate with Coffee with Colleen last week and was able to present a number of the kind of highlights from our housing and economic market analysis that was completed by Leland Consulting, as well as give a update on permits that have been issued since 2020, building permits and land use entitlement permits, and then the comprehensive plan update. So it was a good meeting. I think it felt like it was well received. So with that, I will go into our the 2025 comprehensive plan, 2026 work plan. So at the very top there, it's kind of highlights of what we've accomplished this year. I was chuckling to myself when I was writing it because I don't feel it's representative of all the work that we've done, but it is the accurate summary of it. And so, but I do want to note that last date there. After tonight's meeting, you'll have again concluded your review of the policy document, and we will be releasing the Planning Commission revised policy draft at the end of this year on December 29th. And this is not your last kick at the can for sure, but this is going to be reflective of the work that you've done this year. And I've kind of already gone over a couple times now of what that's going to look like, but it will be like a red line version. So you'll have underline as additions, strikeout for deletions. There will be there will be a couple places where I'm going to make some additions that are that were not proposed to the Planning Commission when you reviewed that chapter. And I'll note that in its own color. So there will be a bit of a color coding for the document, which will be Planning Commission recommended revisions will be one color, and then things that I'll be proposing. There's not very many, but some of them have come again from things that have happened after your review of that chapter. But I'm really excited that we're at a place where we can have the whole comprehensive plan presented and posted on the website. Then kind of the middle section of that sheet there is finally putting some meat on the bone of what I've been telling you for the last couple months Travis has been working on, but we're ready to show you what Travis has been working on. So this is going to be a package of code amendments a full rewrite of Title 17, which is currently our subdivision ordinance. We're proposing renaming it to land division ordinance, and then a specific set of amendments to Title 18, which is the zoning ordinance that are housing focused. And we will be, Travis is finalizing the draft, and we'll be releasing that right. If we can get it earlier, if not, we're going to for sure release it January 2nd, which will be also the day you'll get your packet. So I know that we're going to have a meeting, like turn around quickly, but I promise you that I do have a systematic approach to how we're going to go through the Title 17 and Title 18, and you'll see that in your cover memo. So we'll give you like, okay, for this meeting, we're going to talk about these specific sections. So you're welcome to read everything, but you can also, if you have limited time, read the specific sections that we'll be reviewing at that meeting. So you have 3 meetings scheduled, including a special one if necessary for Title 17, and then we have 1 meeting set for Title 18. Once you get it and take a look at it, we can modify these kind of how they're being laid out right now. So don't feel like this is completely set in stone, but did need to get some dates on the calendar. So, and then we'll move into a public hearing at the end of February, and then it will move to City Council for two work sessions with City Council and a public hearing in March. So if you think of that, like we're concluding our policy document. So January through March is going to be the Title 17 and Title 18. And that gives staff continued time to finalize the pieces of the comprehensive plan, which will be the capital facility plan, the SEPA response. And Dennis, I know you've been waiting for me. So we're going to do a supplemental EIS is what we're going to do for the comprehensive plan, in that I can get into more of the details if you're curious about it, but we will continue to use the EIS from the original adoption because the growth rate assumed in that EIS was 5%, and we still have not actually reached the growth projected from that original EIS. So under SEPA, we may use it. However, the SEIS is going to be a full-bodied EIS. We're not really going to cut corners on it. The only thing that probably won't be in it is the alternative analysis, because we have already walked through the future land use map. We know what the land use designations are going to be as we've worked through with you this year on that, and the SEIS does not require alternatives. So we will be getting consultant assistance on that SEIS development, and we hopefully will get under contract with them by the end of this year for them to start working on it. And then Travis will move full attention to updating the zoning ordinance, Title 18, that will then will accompany the comprehensive plan. So January through March, you'll be busy with Title 17 and Title 18. We'll be busy with the rest of the comprehensive plan work. And then I'll also be meeting with the City Council to introduce them to your policy document that you've worked on this year, to get them oriented to that as well. Then moving to the bottom part of this page, and then page 2 is the actual public release of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan will be released April 1st. That will be the whole package. So we'll have our draft comprehensive plan, which will include all appendices, including the capital facility plan, the draft future land use map, which again, you guys have a really good understanding already of what that's going to look like, as we've talked about it a couple times. Draft development regulations, and the supplemental EIS. The April will pretty much be, there'll be two things happening in April. Staff will be conducting some public engagement, public outreach efforts that you see there. We'll have an online open house, which basically means our website will be hosting a number of information, the comprehensive plan, and some interactive ways of people to engage with the comprehensive plan, as well as provide comment on it. We'll be meeting with the developers forum. I should mention that too you might have seen that on the schedule before for Title 17 and 18, that we'll be meeting with our developers forum on January 14th. We'll meet with them again on the comprehensive plan in April. We'll also have other outreach opportunities. Hopefully we'll be able to go to like the Chamber of Commerce as a lunch speaker, and perhaps do another coffee with Colleen with the EDC. So other outreach opportunities. We'll be busy doing that, and you also will continue to be reviewing the comprehensive plan, but we'll do a focus now on, you'll certainly see the policy document, but we'll be focusing on the development regulations overview in the capital facility plan, which will be two things that you won't see until April. So that will, we'll make sure that you guys have good time and opportunity to look at those things as well. And so we have April Planning Commission meetings. We've got 3 study sessions, including a Saturday all-day session to basically knock out most of those, the capital facility plan, and for Travis to walk through the zoning regulations. And then public hearing on May 5th. And then we will take your recommendations and transmit it to the City Council at the end of that week on May 8th. And then I'll loop back to that in a minute about how we transmit your recommendation to the City Council so quickly. And then May through June will be in front of the City Council. So that will be their review and public hearing process. They'll have a number of work sessions and then culminate in a public hearing as well. So a couple comments on that schedule. First of all, this is a schedule to meet what I committed to the city, that we would have a comprehensive plan adopted by the end of June. This gets us there. As you can tell, I feel like there's enough time baked into it, I think, for the work, the diligent work that especially the Planning Commission in it, as well as the City Council. However, that is a deadline we imposed upon ourselves. And if circumstances have changed or there's need to take more time, either at your level or a city council, we certainly can still do that. But this is acknowledging that when we asked for the extension, kind of blessing the extension for an additional 6 months, this gets us there. I actually feel like it's a comfortable pace. It's a lot of work on our side. These are just meeting dates. I've started fleshing in the dates of like all of the deadlines and staff reports and public hearing notices and packets due, and it will be busy. But again, I wanted to just note that at any time in April or May, if the Planning Commission feels rushed or doesn't feel like there's been sufficient time or you need more time, we can absolutely make that accommodate that. The second thing of what we'll do when we transmit the Planning Commission's recommendation is we do keep track. What we'll establish is 2 matrices that we're going to establish during the public hearing process. One will be, as you see noted above, a public comment matrix. And when I say matrix, it's a table. It's pretty much a table, but it's going to be a table where we'll keep track of comment letters, comments provided at mostly written comment, but we can also document like comment received at meetings as well. And this is a really nice document that consolidates all the public hearing that we're going to receive on the comprehensive plan. It's a kind of a one-stop shopping so that you and the city council can have one place to go to see what people are saying about the comprehensive plan. So we will establish that on April 1st. We do have a few letters. We'll input them already into ones that we've kind of gotten over the last year. And again, this is just specifically on the comprehensive plan. So like the public outreach that was done by SCJ in 2024 has already been documented and it's on our webpage and it will be included as an appendix in the comprehensive plan. So this public comment matrix will be, again, for this like April through June process. We'll also establish a Planning Commission revision matrix, and that will be any revisions that you are identifying through April and May as we go through that process. We'll be documenting those as well. And so when we transmit it to the City Council, because there's not going to be full amount of time to take your revisions and create a new document with them, we'll have this matrix that will document the changes. We'll transmit that to the City Council, and then we'll go in and make the changes to the document. So we'll make sure we capture them 2 ways and that the City Council is fully aware of what your recommendations are. So with that is our work plan through June. So no vacations until July 1st. No. Anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot, so please feel free to digest and we can talk about it in January, but happy to see if you have any questions for me right now.
Any questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. That's it's a lot of information. Thank you for all your hard work. I had a builder chat with me at an event, and he's really interested in the coming, in the developers forum. And so I forwarded you his information.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I think Emily kind of manages that email list, but I think it's pretty robust in who's on it. And I've been telling publicly when I've been out and about that we're going to engage with them. So in fact, we'll send titles 17 and 18 by the end of the year to them as well. So they have a time before the forum when we all meet in person in January. So they have a couple weeks to kind of digest it and read it and, ask questions to us if before the meeting too. So
Okay.
that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any questions before we move on to new business? Okay. So let's move on to new business, which is the draft for the economic development chapter. Carla or Travis?
Well, what's that? Oh, I don't have any introductory comments to it, so we can go ahead and dive right in. But I do know that Larry gave me the courtesy of some of his thinking, and so I know that I'm assuming you're going to bring a few things up, and I look forward to the conversation. So we should go ahead and
Okay.
kick that off.
Okay. So at the beginning, the first page, how'd everything look to everybody? Anybody have anything on that? Yes, Dennis.
Just a quick question. When we do the sectors for the existing conditions, government isn't mentioned. Is it just that it's not enough employment in government sector that it doesn't show up?
No, actually, and that was one of Larry's points is that, and I'm not sure why it's not, because it's actually a major employer in the county. And so it is something that was an oversight in mine and actually Leland's part that we don't include government. So we absolutely should.
I'm curious to that government is, it's a large portion. Is that because of the Coast Guard base, or is that more considered, like, what kind of government is it? Is it a collective of the park, just?
Go ahead.
It is state, federal, municipal
Okay.
governments. Is it okay to pass this out, or does that then become a discoverable item?
What's this?
I could just include it with the agenda documents.
I did.
Yeah.
This was just the fact sheet from the email I sent out. And I looked at the county total. And the reason why I did that is, from my work experience, the city itself is all we're responsible for. But our statistics say most of our residents work outside the city, and most of the people who are employed in the city are coming from outside the city. And so I just pulled these statistics. The government includes the forests, the parks, state parks.
Okay.
Yes, certainly but there's a lot of government workers here, and it is one of our key industries. And so if there's a way to incorporate that, I think that's very important to highlight, because I think we probably have our residents here, because this is such a really cool city to live in, are probably government workers,
Yeah.
right? They probably work in the parks or other industries or other parts of the government. So
Okay.
yeah, that's definitely a big number.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, can you include this information that Larry had emailed?
Sure thing.
That-
Was it attached to the email by chance?
It was the
Okay,
attachment.
perfect.
There was two forms, just
Okay.
since we're discussing it and since he submitted it to the commission so that it's in the notes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All
And
right.
Will has his hand up.
Okay. Go ahead, Will. Will, did you have anything to add?
There we go. Okay. I wasn't able to talk, sorry. I just I took a look at the numbers that Larry sent over, and I'm not quite sure. We do have a lot of government employees around here. I am one of them. But 8,000 seems like a stretch. I can give you an example. Public Works Department for all of Collin County has about 65 full-time employees. So that 8,000 number, I'm just curious where those numbers came from.
These came from the state. There's a
Okay.
footnote down there. And I can certainly
I missed
send you
it.
the link to the table. but this is county-wide, so don't forget it covers all the way out past Forks. It covers all the way past
Yeah.
Blinn.
There are 2 prisons out there.
The prison,
Yeah, there's the one
Yeah.
in Clownland Bay and then one in Forks too.
right.
Okay.
Well, and there's DNR people. There's a lot. There's just a lot. And it's not an industry we can really leverage, but I think it's something we need to kind of keep on our radar. Maybe we can attract something here in the city as far as facilities. I don't know. I know that Port Angeles was active in getting the Homeland Security in their old Elks Lodge there on the way into town. So.
And I wanted to add, I think they did add government workers in SQUIM. It's down on where I'm skipping ahead a couple pages to page 5. They've got public administration on there. I would assume that's what they're referring to.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Will?
Nope.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so
Can I
yes,
just
Larry.
Continue on
Yeah,
the
just
sheet?
you just
So
go for it, Larry.
again, I think this carries over from the last meeting. The statistics, I think they're absolutely accurate. We have very low income levels. It could be because we got so many retirees. There's a number of reasons why. But to say that we have 36% of our population almost in a distressed lifestyle, it doesn't marry up with what I see driving around town. And we talked earlier about Costco wouldn't be here, Home Depot wouldn't be here if we had almost 40% of our population below, like almost, I forgot the wording.
Is this on the bottom of page 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just provided some different numbers, again, on not just the population, but coming from the banking industry, the deposits in the city of SQUIM banks actually is higher than the deposits in the city of Port Angeles banks, $1.3 billion. And it's far and away higher than all of Jefferson County deposits. There's a lot of wealth here, is what I kind of wanted to convey to everybody. It's not as dire as maybe the income levels present. And then the last table I presented was the taxable retail sales within the city limits of SQUIM are fairly robust. So I think things here may be better. And I'm looking at Matt. We don't look at the finances of the city, but they seem okay. We're not, right? The city finances seem to be good. The businesses are doing well. The nonprofits are raising record numbers of donations. So I think where I'm going is maybe if we could flavor the presentation with some balance in the numbers, not just like so heavy on what the income levels are, because if I'm in an assisted living facility, my income is probably pretty low versus somebody who's not in the city, but working in the city and living out in the county, they have high income. So I think we want to balance it a little bit if we can. And I don't know what statistics to balance it with. So I just threw these out and I'll let you guys at the city do the magic with it.
Well, one thing I noticed in this language, and if it bears any weight on the perception that Larry is saying that, that the income level is really low and we have people in distress, is it's in the paragraph under economic indicators, income and wages. And where it says the census does not include capital gains, retirement accounts like 401ks, savings account as income. And I do know that probably there's quite a bit of money that is maybe not being shown as income, but a bulk of most people's money is in their retirement accounts. So is there a way to like highlight that a little so that
Yeah, if we can, so Emily, if this is okay, can I have Emily scroll to page 3 to kind of where we're talking about, and we can come back to these pages too, obviously to discuss. So, so this is where we're kind of talking about is under this economic indicators. We have the income and wages, and then below is the poverty and unemployment, and that's where Larry was speaking to that 36%. So the statistic is 36% of Sequim residents live below 200% of the federal poverty level in 2023, which is considered to be significant poverty. So, so this is his point. Like, is that really what we're experiencing or seeing in Sequim? And your point, Julianne, above is that our median income at 53,000 is what that poverty level assessment is kind of based on that in the various degrees. And what the sentence says is that that's actually not a true reflection of the income or the wealth of Sequim. And it's something that at the initial draft of the economic market study, Travis and I spoke to Leland about, because they, again, using just straight statements based on what the data says, we felt the same. Like, it's not reflective of where we aren't experiencing that level of poverty. That's not what the city's social programs and nonprofit organizations are responding to. And so it does feel like it's a misnomer to say it. And so that sentence there about not counting capital gains, retirement accounts was kind of Leland's way of saying, okay, this sort of mitigates this data that we get from census. So I don't know if that's goes far enough, or if there's if there's a better way to highlight it, and we can talk about that. But what I wanted to also share with you is a couple thoughts as we kind of wrestle through what we want to do with this section of the chapter. So we do meet weekly with Andrew and Jennifer. So I talked to them yesterday. Again, Larry, I really appreciate that you gave us the ability to respond and be prepared to talk about it at today's meeting. So I did chat with them a little bit about, like, what do you think about this? We all acknowledge it. And what they said that this is a similar experience that they're working with San Juan County, and they said that it's happening up there too, where actually there's a lot of even more wealthier people in San Juan County, and yet their median income looks very low. And so there's various degree, to them, they're like, there's ways of measuring wealth. But their point was, which is what I wanted to share with you, is like the data in this chapter is helpful for what policy we want, what's our policy focus. And for us, the whole comprehensive plan has a subtle and not so subtle theme about housing, and in particular workforce housing. And so the GMA is very open to what this chapter can look like. It's supposed to have goals and policies and have basically an economic profile. And so we could, if you take a look at this, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, we can delete the poverty and unemployment section out of this chapter, because the next page talks about I think it goes right to workforce profile, which is of interest of this chapter. Now, the poverty and unemployment, if we delete it here, doesn't make it go away. It's actually in the housing needs assessment that we looked at last week. So it still sits in the comprehensive plan, but it sits under the housing component of it. And that statement about that the income doesn't capture retirement and capital gains sits there as well. So that is a quick and easy, like, should we just take it out? It doesn't need to be here. It doesn't tell the story of what this chapter is supposed to be telling, which is talking about what our economic profile is, what our workforce is, and what what our strengths are. And the other thing that Leland wanted me to share is that, and I've already talked about this and you all know it, is that one of Sequim's greatest strengths is that we are the large box retail hub for the peninsula, and that really serves the city so well. And that if that's something that we want to maybe make more of a focus on in this chapter, that may be more an appropriate thing to take out. Again, this poverty and unemployment piece that really sits more maybe under housing policies, and talk more about what we're seeing that are economic drivers and provide economic vitality to the city. So couple thoughts from Andrew and Jennifer for your guys' kind of consideration tonight as you think about what you want presented here in this beginning portion of the chapter.
Okay, thanks. Larry, did you have something?
Yeah, I guess I'll go back to, I don't, I don't feel a high level of poverty.
Yeah.
When I'm not just in the city, but even in the outskirts of, just in our general area from the border of to Agnew. I sense it's really above average. And I think that's why the development is considering going in Squim Bay, and those are going to be high-end homes. So I guess it's the perception that we have a high level of poverty income, but they're not, many of those people are not living in poverty. And so that's the challenge that I have, because if we were to take this and build a bunch of Section 8 housing, we might not be able to fill it because we don't have Section 8 people. And that's my question, is that going to create a problem if we keep this kind of language? And so I don't have the answer. I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay, thank you. Alex does have his hand raised. So Alex, would you like to add something? Alex, can you hear me? Okay, so I know Eileen had something to say.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Oh,
Go ahead,
great.
Alex.
Okay. Well, to answer Larry's question, I think that the greatest area of poverty is kind of out of sight in the manufactured home parks and some very old mobile homes, single width ones that are to the north of Safeway and go down, well, fifth, sixth, no, like the 300 and 400 block of Washington, but north of the alley, the first alley that's from Washington, you'll see all kinds of trailers, dilapidated homes, and everything. And a bunch of those are actually not even owned by the people in them, but they're rented out kind of in a predatory way to the very bottom. And also the Squim food bank. If you were to talk to Andrew Smith, I think you'd get a more complete view of the poverty and needs of a lot of hidden population. And I think also you could get some good input from Reagan Nichols, the school superintendent, of the needs for the very low income students and how much the lunch programs and bagged lunches mean for them, that they even provide in summertime when school is out. There's a need around, um, and I think that's what I have, all I have on this subject.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Yes.
I can't hear anything anymore.
Yeah, I think they're muted. I can't hear anyone.
Yeah, I can't hear anyone
Can
either.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was just going to say the competitiveness with those numbers, the ACE, the community survey estimates, they use those across the board through the United States on all the comprehensive plans. So one of the things that is beneficial is when it comes to federal and state funding, using these numbers, if you can add in some verbiage to state, that there's probably going to be some differences. And that would be okay. But for the most part, everybody's using the same data sets. So it could be beneficial to keep those and then just make a statement versus trying to play with the numbers.
Okay, thank you. Eileen?
I totally agree with Alex. And the great donations for Boys and Girls Club, people wouldn't give it if they didn't need it. And all those kids at the Boys and Girls Club are income eligible, their services. And so, but how to define that need, what statistics to use? For the growth management plan, did they just use the census to come up with their estimates for telling us how many houses to build and how many affordable housing? Where'd they get their numbers?
So the population numbers are come out of Office of Financial Management. They do use census and historic growth rates, but the OFM demographers do their own population estimating for growth management planning purposes. So it does uniquely come from the state of Washington OFM staff, but it is informed by census, but it's also based on kind of their own projections of other things that they monitor. How they then broke them into income bands is through a kind of Excel spreadsheet methodology that the Department of Commerce has created. I will say that I did not attend a lot of the meetings that Commerce was hosting about what their methodology was, but I will say that census data is the uniform data across the country. It is the foundational data. So these American Community Surveys, 5-year estimates, annual estimates, they are estimates, and then everything gets recalibrated during the census. So I mean, I think that's the data we use. It's just the question is in my mind, do you want that presented here in this chapter when I think the focus of the chapter is something different than poverty and in poverty. I mean, this is we talk about this in other sections in the appendix in the housing needs assessment, because that is something that under GMA, they want that data as in relation to the housing. So like I said, when Andrew and Jennifer kind of talked about what data do we want to present, that is the story we want to tell in the economic development chapter. That did make me think, well, I personally don't think, now that we're having the conversation, and I appreciate the question, that this data needs to be presented here, that there's other things that are more of a focus for our economic development chapter. The question that we're debating now, whether there is this 36.3% poverty or not, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to speak to that.
Okay,
So if the focus is really what kind of jobs do we want to develop? If we say that 36% of the people are these really low level earners, we're going to be focusing on those kind of jobs? Is that kind of where you're saying maybe we pull this out so that we don't focus on poverty level jobs or entry level wage jobs, and we focus on other things like whatever they may be, like you said, retail?
Right, retail, right. In the kind of I will say that the policies that follow this beginning part, I don't believe have that focus. It has a focus that actually kind of aligns more with the graph on the page 1, where we talk about economic development in a way that brings economic vitality and prosperity to our community, which improves our quality of life and our livability. And that, if I was to say, if there was a philosophical underpinning of the chapter, it was going to be based more on that graphic and how all three of those pieces work together to provide economic stability and again, what are the things that we want to focus on and what we can contribute towards economic development as a city government.
Okay, thanks. I know Eileen has something, but Will has his hand up. So we're going to invite Will to speak right now and then Eileen next.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. And I don't know if this really needs to be said or how much this stuff matters, but, you know, wages are pretty low for working age people in this area, especially for our cost of living. So I think when you see numbers like that, yeah, the data is definitely skewed by the quantity of retired people we have who might have a lot of assets but aren't earning an income. But there's also people who just really aren't earning much of an income and have no assets. And again, I don't know if what we put in this chapter really matters or is going to make a difference towards that, but it is important to keep in mind that we do not have particularly high wages for our cost of living, especially housing in this area.
Okay, thanks, Will. That's a really good point. Eileen?
And that's close to what I was going to say. Well, there is a whole community of working poor. They're working 1 or 2 jobs. They're working 3 part-time jobs just to get enough to pay rent. And I don't think that terminology is in here. And it needs to be recognized on some level, and defining it, I don't know. And the low wages, I mean, infers that people have to work more than 1 job or have 2 incomes in a household to make it. So I don't know. I want to recognize it and how to say it. And I really hate the word poverty, but working poor is because people are trying if they're working.
Yeah. Okay, Dennis, and then Alex has something to say online.
I think all the points are being made are valid, and the numbers are the numbers. I think any retailer that comes into a community is going to do their due diligence. These numbers are going to be there for them. They're going to be able to investigate, what the banking situation is, the savings counts and all that, and know what they're getting into before they even go through the permit process. So, however we decide to go, I agree with Larry's point. Sometimes you have too much in the comp plan in the section, especially if it's covered in another document. So however we decide to go, I'd be okay with that. But any retailer is going to do their due diligence, and these numbers are out there for them.
Okay, thank you. Alex, did you have something to add?
Yes. Is my mic on again?
It is. We can hear
great.
you.
Yes. To the question is if we need more affordable housing, I understand Elk Creek Apartments is very full, and I think that would be an indicator. Its vacancy rate, I think it went from Section 8, and now it's more open to charge various amounts. But I think looking at its vacancy rate, if there is any vacancy at all, would be an indicator. But then so many people are stuck there, and even someone on city council with a family, and there is no viable place for a growing family to move out of Elk Creek Apartments to something else. If you have only $1,400 a month for a family with a couple of kids, you're not gonna get because only one of the parents is working for a fairly low wage job. there's no way you can get a house. And then something on the on wages. You maybe saw the position that was advertised for the PDN for they want like a technical administrative manager for classified ads. They've got to have a total computer grasp of Microsoft Office and databases and all the rest. And they're only offering $18 an hour. Um, you know, it's 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 I just don't know how kids graduate from high school can get a hand up or have any prospect of having a family, marriage, marrying or ever owning a house. Well, it's just my 2 cents.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Do I see that Will has his hand up again? No?
No, it looks like Alex put his hand up again. but
Okay.
I will lower.
That's
Oh,
done.
there he goes. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Well, boy, this is really a robust conversation on this
I'd just
paragraph.
add that it does sound like a lot of it is coming back to housing.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
agree. I mean, talking this through,
Yeah.
and
when we
really,
when we use AMI, it's usually for housing.
yeah,
And I mean, even we just had one of our first stakeholder meetings with kind of the nonprofit groups that lead affordable housing projects, and Habitat shared that they had, and I can't remember the number exactly, but they just did they built one house and they got like 30 to 40 applications for the one house. So they desperately need the projects that they're working on to come online because they have a lot of people that are waiting. And I think to Alex's point, I've heard that the Section 8 apartments are anywhere from like a 2 to 3 year waiting list for anybody to get in. So I think, Larry, to your point, there are people that need it, and whether or not we need the full allocation like we've been given remains to be seen. But we did get that allocation for basically only 11 market rate homes, right? And the rest are all are under. So, I mean, but again, that's all going back to housing. And so if housing is kind of the ticker there when it comes to your median income, then maybe we take it out of here and we don't double dip, if you will. So, right.
I think that makes sense. Larry?
Yeah, and this section is about what kind of jobs do we want to attract to lift people into, right? So $18 an hour is not the job, as Alex points out. So what kind of industries do we want to try to attract and go after, right? And I think it's got to be above that entry level 18.
All right. Well, so I feel like maybe the commission is all on the same page that we move this to the housing section. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. And okay, so then where were we? Where were we when we started this?
I skipped to page 3, but we were still page 1.
Okay, we're still on page 1. Got a little way into the weeds, but that's all right. Anything else on page 1? No? Yes, Larry.
Just we talk about the agritourism industry specifically, but should we just blend that in with all tourism? It is just one of the components of tourism. And I'm wondering if we were calling out the Lavender Festival tourism for a reason as opposed to the other types of tourism. It's the bottom page 2 is
Oh, bottom of page 2.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. So the last paragraph there. Okay. I think only pulling it out only because that's kind of historically, that's what Squim's known for. So happy to kind of consolidate that under tourism and not pull. I mean, I think we put it in here just based on some comments over the year about wanting to give a nod to the heritage, the agricultural heritage. So again, this is all narrative. This is all what we wanted to say.
Well, and I do think that if we do want to, I love the idea of doing a nod to the agricultural heritage. But I think if we are going to mention the Lavender Festival, we should also mention the Irrigation Festival because it is the longest continuing community festival in the state. And there would be no agriculture if it wasn't for the ditches that Crazy Callan brought here when he moved, or his idea when he came from Colorado. I only know that history because I was an irrigation queen many moons ago.
Your past is showing here.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want me to go ahead and write that chapter, no, I'm just joking. I'm joking. Anything else on that? No? Okay. Travis knew where I was going. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to page 3. Does anybody have anything on this one? We
I
kind of
think
did go through most
We did
of
go through this. So what we'll do is we'll just pull the poverty and unemployment section that's there at the bottom of the page, and then at the top or kind of to the middle of page 4. So it'll talk about income and wages and then go right into workforce profile there. That's on page 4.
Okay. Okay. How about anything on page 4? The workforce profile.
Looks like Alex has his hand raised.
Okay. Go ahead, Alex.
Yes, down at on the bottom, the bullet points for workforce profile, I see educational services mentioned twice. It's the 4th down from the top and then the 2nd from the bottom. Then someone that probably had different kind of criteria for each
Yeah.
one, but it's kind of odd how it is mentioned twice.
There twice too. Okay.
Care and social assistance.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, and accommodation and food services. It looks like all of them are actually, except for
Oh, yes.
construction.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, I see okay. I see. Yeah, because then it makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Thank you.
You're on fire tonight, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'm curious on the construction, does that include like trade work, like electrical and okay.
Yes.
Okay, anything else on that? No?
I think so. Yep, I have a note to try to do that or to find out where it's at. If it's under administration and support, then, which I don't think it is, but if it is, I'll call it out then. So yes, I have a note to find government.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to the next page, which is Exhibit ED-4. How about this one?
Looks like
page?
Alex has his hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Yes, the very bottom utilities, how is it there are no utility jobs in Sequim, whereas even the city of Sequim has a water and sewer department? And maybe things are skewed a little bit by our very small boundaries for our city limits, that PUD must sit just across the line outside, that we don't show like employment for people at PUD because they're outside of our city limits, I guess. But you would think there'd be some maybe some Sequim city staff that work in utilities are considered government or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's right. They would fall under the government
Oh, okay.
ones, even if they're working in the utility department. But happy to double check that with PUD.
Okay.
Although it is outside of the city limits, but happy to check that.
And out of curiosity, we're we've got lots of animal veterinarians in town. Um, and I think there's a lot of people who've got cattle, maybe not so much in city limits, but close around, and that never kind of shows up as farming, maybe because it's just a sideline and not their principal occupation. It sort of disappears.
Or
And that's just
agriculture.
yes. And anyway, that's, just a general idea. It's like none of that exists. But
In the
anyway,
city limits, yep.
Is there agriculture on here?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
oh yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, 1/10%.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Anything else on this page? No? Okay. All right, let's go to the next, which is the commuting patterns in Squam. How about this one? Yes, Dennis.
Under the built environment, the last sentence kind of rubbed me a little weird. Where the infrastructure necessary is planned, funded, and built to support these commercial centers. Question. Typically, the city doesn't extend the utilities that are needed for the developments. So this conveys that message that we would. So maybe available is a better term.
Yeah, I like.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else on this? Yes, Larry?
Economic opportunities zones, don't those sunset pretty soon? The opportunity for the,
Yeah, so I feel like.
so should we put a note in there that say we recognize it's going to sunset whatever year?
Yeah.
Because this goes out 10 years and it's not going to be there by the end, right?
Right. I feel like we have some language that we use during the land use because we're going to keep the zones themselves. We're going to drop economic. We're going to call them opportunity zones.
Right.
So maybe maybe we redo this paragraph to kind of talk about these areas were designated during that time. It's sunsetting. I think you said next year. Sorry,
Yeah.
you go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty much this year, and I think you're still able to do some of the things have already ended, but you're able to still do some things, I think, through 2026. And I would just add that even in reading this paragraph, the economic opportunity zone has two specific zoned areas, which the River Road opportunity area actually isn't even in an opportunity zone. The opportunity zone, yeah, from the federal that basically was a part of this 2017 act. It established the Bell Creek opportunity area and then parts of the downtown
Right.
and along Washington and everything. There's a map. I'm pretty sure it's still on our website. But yeah, I think we can update this to better reflect the current state of things and then like, hey, even though maybe these were established for these reasons, we're not going to like get rid of the opportunity in certain areas that was established, but
Your tax benefits are going away.
right, what you get from the 2017 US Tax Cuts and Jobs Act it's drying up. Yeah. So if not already gone. Because
Okay.
it's a bit of a process even to get approved for it. So I think, yeah, there's some language that I used when we talked about this as part of the redesignations that we can probably look at. So
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else on that page? Nope. All right, let's move on to the next. This one talks about tourism and visitor experiences and workforce housing. positive business climate. How about this page? I think again, if you're gonna mention the Lavender Festival, maybe on this one, we can mention including the Squim Lavender Festival / Irrigation Festival / Sunshine Festival. Since I'm fairly confident that all of those are part of festivals that receive LTAC funds directly related to tourism. I know at least 2 of them are. Did you have something, Eileen? No?
I just wanted to second that, and we don't want to have the irrigation festival people knocking on our door later. So
No.
let's do it now.
Okay. All right, yes. Did you have anything, Larry?
Yeah, just on the positive business climate. So we're talking about the small town character, but we also have some very large employers, right? We've got Costco, we've got Home Depot. And I'm wondering, the small business is certainly very important, but it's not going to drive, again, we're talking about here, what are we going to do to drive higher wage jobs, right? And so I'm not saying that we don't want to have a small town environment, but, and we don't want to support entrepreneurs, but I think we have to recognize how much of the higher paying jobs are coming from different sources than what we're maybe highlighting there.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on this page? No? Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Starts with policy ED-1.2. How about this page? Yes, Dennis.
The first policy, the wording seems a little funky. Existing businesses by partnering. We need it. Does that make sense to
No, it doesn't.
anybody else?
I'm sorry, which
Oh,
policy?
ED 1.2. Yeah, the first sentence, it says expansion of existing businesses by partnering.
Okay.
We just need to clean that language up. Yeah.
Anything else on this page? No? Okay. Let's move on to the next page, which goes into planning and infrastructure. How about this page? No? Everybody's good with everything here? Yes, Dennis.
Just a comment. I under policy 3.1, developable employment lands. I've never heard that term, but it's appropriate. I like it, actually. That's it.
Cool.
Okay. Is that, did you pen that, Carla?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just trying to find another way of saying land that's available,
Yeah.
land capacity. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right, next page. How about this one? This one finishes up and starts with partnerships. Anything on this page?
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't have a specific policy call out about something like remote workers. And I'm wondering if that is going to be something in the future. I know some people who live here work remotely all across the country, and they will even fly to places, but I don't know if we want to have a policy that says we will actively pursue that workforce who maybe wants to live in a place like this somehow.
I think we should. And I was just thinking maybe to add it to 4.5. All right. I love it. Travis and I we were thinking the same thing. It would add 2 thoughts to 4.5, but we would monitor the technology trends to ensure business have access to modern infrastructure, and then say something and support telework or remote work,
So
something like that.
it's not necessarily just technology people. So I know a guy who lives in Port Angeles who works on oil rigs down in Houston, and he flies back. So
Okay.
he's 2 weeks on an oil rig, then however many weeks he's up. So,
Okay.
you know, because we talk about the transportation challenges a little bit earlier, but maybe, you know, somebody who has to work in a sweat box like Florida or Arizona wants to come back here if they have this kind of work schedule or something.
And I guess
Yeah.
to expand on that, what would you want the policy to be to help support that person? Is it, because I think the thought Carla and I are having is like, if we can ensure that we have high-speed internet available to all
Yes.
you know, and that kind of goes with technology trends, getting the fiber optic, all of the stuff, you know, make that available, then that probably supports it. And then the flip side is also, you know, like shared office spaces where people can do, you know, remote work from just a shell office that they can go into. So there's a couple ways that it can be done. I guess, do you have a preference? Do you want them called out separately, or just?
I just think it is a potential, because this is such a great place to live. We may not be able to bring your job here, but maybe we could bring you here, and your income is down in the Gulf or something.
I know for sure that I at least defined a use for kind of these those shared office spaces being allowed in zones and things.
Right.
We're gonna do it through the zoning table for sure, but if there's a specific language and
Yeah, and I know that there was a business that had like a shared office space that started and then is no longer open. I don't know the reason for the closing, or if we were able to know if that was something that, I guess we just really, there's no way of knowing. They could have closed for any reason, personal reason or not, but there are a lot of people that I know that live here but work in other areas.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Dennis?
Bill has his hand up.
Worthy of a policy.
Okay. Will, do you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of dovetail on that. I think the mentioning of having, you know, a robust and reliable high-speed internet connection, you know, at least in utilities. I think we talked about it when we went over the utilities section, but it might not be a bad idea to mention again here. I don't know if we want to talk about the shared office space stuff. I think a lot of people who work from home because they can be at home. I don't know if that's something we want to actively promote, unless, you know, it brings in money.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else on this page?
Yeah.
Yes, Larry.
Partnerships. Do we want to mention partnering with other cities, or is that something that is kind of a competitive thing, not a partnership thing or a collaborative thing? So when we're talking about partnerships, for example, when they have the Crab Festival in Port Angeles, do we want to help promote that and get people to come over here and stay during that time? Unless we had so I mean, we're such a small county, and we tend to isolate the cities. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. And I just think we could kind of leverage, even even partnering with Port Townsend when they have some of their events, come on up and
Want to
be
speak
with
to
us.
that, Matt?
I can a little bit. So we do, we have a really strong active role in the Peninsula Tourism Group or whatever. We have our own tourism kind of local municipality teams, and but we also participate really actively in the greater one, including a strategic plan and coordinating all of that.
Yeah. So we talk about the agencies, the regional agencies, but we don't say the cities specifically here in that very first sentence on 8.4.5.
Trying to think. So they have their own chamber. We do too. Trying to think exactly what we
Well,
partner
well,
on.
you know what I was thinking of when you said that, Matt, was actually something you said last week when we were meeting with you. We were a little bit early to the coffee with Colleen, and we were kind of just chit chatting about it. And you said something that like, what's good for one city is still good for the whole peninsula. And I really liked that sentiment. And when you said that, Larry, I was thinking like that could be the policy. Like the policy is somewhere around that idea of that we want everyone to have economic vitality and have economic a strong economy, because we are all interdependent on the peninsula, and that what's good for one community is good for all of us. And when you said that your comment came to mind, and I'm like, that would make a really good policy. If you guys like that idea, we could work that out. Because I do think you're right. It's not, it doesn't have to be like we're partners, but the idea is that what's good for any of us is good for all of us. So,
Well, and in a lot of ways, we interact. Like our Public Works interacts with them. We hire them to do our striping. Like it wasn't worth $500,000 to buy a stripe, a road striper. So we ask them to do it. We share our drones with them and help them as they need it in any different way. We have MOUs.
That's why
We have city manager meetings. So I have a monthly meeting with Port Townsend and Port. So we do a
we're
lot.
already doing it, but
Yeah.
by policy, maybe put the word cities in there.
Yeah.
Or and not just in the county. Maybe it also includes Port Townsend
Mhm.
as a city.
Well, and it could be something like just adding to the end of that first sentence, SCWM's economic success depends on strong relationships with business, nonprofits, tribes, yada, yada, and other local cities and jurisdictions, or something along that line. Okay, yeah. Something like that. Or we could just do a whole policy. All right, anything else on that? Okay, let's move on down the line to the next page, which at the bottom of the page we just talked about, we start livability and economic vitality. So that's going to be the bulk of what we talk about on this next page, as well as recreation and tourism. So anything on this page? Nope. Okay, and the last page is a real doozy. So anything on this one sentence?
And I know
Yes,
I
Larry.
know that the timber industry is not really city focused, but it is such an economic driver for the region, and we're not calling it out. We don't have a port that's importing and exporting timber. We don't have a mill anymore, but did at one point. So I don't think it fits here, but it might be something we give a nod to, like we're giving a nod to agro. Because I'm sure there's people who live here who are employed by the trade,
Okay.
truckers and other things.
Anything else?
I guess I have a question for Carla on this one. So is the purpose of this policy to support like maintaining lavender farming within the city limits? Okay, because we only have one city limit farm. Got it. Okay.
That contributes to our tourism.
Okay. All right, anything else on that? All right, thank you to the commission and thank
Yeah,
you.
I really appreciate everybody's comments and the robust conversation. It was really very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, then let's move on to our next agenda item. If you don't have anything else for us on that, you're good? Okay. The next agenda item is the 2026 chair and vice chair discussion. The reason why we put this on new business is because we wanted to make sure that the commission knows that my term as the chair of the commission is ending at the end of the month or beginning of January, which means that the commission is going to need to elect a new chair. And so I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. If they wanted to nominate somebody or nominate themselves. I also want to make, just see if, just kind of take your temperature and see if there's anybody that is interested in, being the chair. Eileen, you have something to say?
I would do it.
Okay.
I could nominate myself
Okay.
next month.
Okay. And thank you. She doesn't have to be the only nomination. I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of knew what that was. We also will need to elect a vice chair. So I also wanted to throw that out there if there's anybody on the commission that is interested in being the vice chair. And so I think everybody's pretty comfortable with, the role of the chair and the vice chair in our meetings. There is a bit of more of a commitment for the chair and the vice chair as far as if it's warranted, we have an agenda setting meeting ahead of time, which is usually pretty quick. We'll meet with Carla and Emily, and they'll kind of go over their plan on what is going to be on the agenda. And we talk about if there's something else that we would like to have on the agenda, if how we would like that to look, and then also a little bit of context as far as there's, for example, sometimes we have 3 things and one of them might be a real heavy lift, and then we have another one that's moderate and one that's small. And so it might be can we put off the moderate one to the next meeting because we need to really get this one big one taken care of, and we can also take care of the little one, or I think we can get through all 3, or we need a work session. So it's kind of that. There isn't always a meeting warranted. Sometimes we just get a phone call and it's like, hey, we're just reviewing this chapter. Do you need to come in? So you do have that. And occasionally they'll reach out about something, but it's not too often. So just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. Yeah. Okay, so think about it, because next meeting will be what? Sure.
He didn't even hear you say
He
that.
didn't.
It's Karen who's not here.
So that'll be coming up at the next meeting. So think about if you would like to take on one of those roles, or if we're going to volunteer somebody. Any questions on that at all? No? Okay. Did you have anything to add to that, Carla?
No,
No?
thank you.
Okay, sure. So now we'll move on to the director's report.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I think from just walking through the work schedule, I guess I will note that the moratorium on master plans will be expiring at the end of January. So we will, staff will be bringing forward a request to extend that moratorium to the council at their second council meeting of January. And again, as you know, that's in order to continue our work on, we've finished Title 17, Title 18, and master plans and the comprehensive plan. So that I think that those are the two main things on the list.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
You updated us last meeting, I think, about Habitat's development in the city limits.
Yeah,
And
we do have we probably have more to share. I'm going to turn it over to Travis because you had a meeting with them. You and Scott had a meeting last week.
So we kind of had a pre-meeting for getting site construction permits off the ground. So really it was mainly with the Public Works Department, and site construction is theirs. But it was just to try to figure out some of the conditions of their preliminary approval that need to be determined before they can submit. So they're still working through those things, but it does sound like they are anticipating submittal mid-January. I do know that they're also working on a project in the county, so they are quite busy. So we are hopeful we get something in January, but that is about all I've got so far. But it's at least it's more than it was a week ago. So yeah.
Okay, great. All right, anything else for your director's report? Okay, so we'll move on to the good of the order. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order?
Alex has his hand up.
Okay, go ahead,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes, I was wondering if you all have seen the articles in the PDN about Port Angeles and Port Townsend's comprehensive plans, and kind of the feedback. And of course, there's you can find criticism from all quarters on anything around here. And so if you're kind of taking it on board to be prepared, so ours kind of meets those expectations of the public, that they've been included, have chance for input and review, which seems to be the common dissatisfaction in those other places, because they don't pay attention, and then suddenly the comprehensive plan is there. And so maybe we have a chance, because ours is a couple months behind theirs, we have a chance to position ourselves to avoid some of that bad public relations or whatever. We can put our best foot forward. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Thank you, Alex. All right, I have a couple things for the good of the order, but I thought I'd let everybody else go first if anybody has something. No? Okay, just a couple things. I know that we had talked about the land recognition and what the city council does as far as they read their land recognition once a period. And so I think that because we have we've taken steps to to kind of mirror the city council and as far as how we operate, just for clarity and efficiency, is that something that we should talk about maybe as a agenda item in the future, or is that something that we could just agree to do during the good of the order? But I kind of feel like maybe an agenda item so that the commission has a chance to discuss it.
I think that's probably wise, especially since the commissioner who raised the question isn't here tonight. So
Okay.
we could put that in a future agenda item to discuss. And I think I want to do, Emily and I could do a little bit more research, because the land acknowledgement, as you know, is different between what the council reads and what is planning commission. And just kind of a little bit of history of how that how that statement came to be, which I think, Eileen, I heard that you were part of how to facilitate that. So maybe you might even share that. So I think an agenda item might make sense.
Okay, so maybe we'll just when we can fit it in, when it seems reasonable, and we're not too busy.
Okay.
Okay. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is I know that with all of the public outreach that's going to be coming in April, you had mentioned possibly seeing about being a speaker at one of the chamber luncheons. I also wanted to mention that the April luncheon is usually a pretty high attendance because the Irrigation Festival always sponsors it. So it's a good meeting to strive for as far as visibility and stuff. And you probably would want to reach out to the executive director sooner than later because she does fill those spots. But the chamber also does a breakfast network in the morning, like once a month. That's just chamber members that are business owners can get together, and that has really gotten some good traction. And it's kind of a real quick meeting that could probably get you some more exposure. And I don't believe there's a cost to that.
Okay.
There might be one, but that's another good avenue.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, so we're at our last agenda item, which is an adjournment. And Karen's not here tonight, so somebody else is gonna have to make a motion.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, meeting adjourned at 7:02.